is this. This is some speculative trees on a, I'll show you a video. This is someone made a seed world project where it was only pigs and, bees and worms that were on the planet, but he also said there were trees, and, I made some I would think there would be fungi too, because their little spores could be on plant seeds and whatnot in the dirt, and I would think naturally they would be on the planet as well. So, this tree right here, I'm calling the giant mangrove. It's a family of trees that have these roots exposed on the outside, and these are very close to like water environments. And that right there below it is moss that I thought would grow. And this is just a measurement of how big these plants are. This is exactly 1 mile, or 5,280 feet. And then there's kilograms. Sorry, Americans. Yeah. So this tree basically is it lives by water and whatnot. And this is another type of moss, but since herbivores would be eating it, they evolved to be more spiky. Though only the tips are spiky. So I would think it could be, a little bit dangerous, but not too dangerous. This is another family of mangrove trees, and as you can see, there's like a bunch of organisms on it. This is what I'm calling the sun, the star tree, because it looks like a star hat, maybe. I'm also going to call this moss the giant moss, and this would be called the red spike moss, because it would be like red on the top to indicate that it's dangerous. And there's just some mushrooms on it. This big one right here is like not dangerous. It helps the tree. It will help. It has its roots in the tree that tells like the tree what is happening and whatnot. And the mushroom's roots are longer than these trees' roots, and it gives the tree information. And the tree could warn other trees if there's like danger coming. And then there's like other fungi that take advantage of the gigantic size of the tree and uses its, size and, height to produce its spores so other of its kind can, reproduce and whatnot. This one right here, the one that has spiky bits on it, I'm gonna call that one the spiked mushroom. It has those spikes. That's where it like smells like a flower and or nectar, and the bees will come and get it, and it tries to get some nectar, only to find out that there's no nectar, and the spores would have gone on the bee. Pretty genius, I would say. And this mushroom species right here became kind of like a fungal infection. It doesn't help the tree. It like takes root of the tree. It like will try to kill a tree and eat its nutrients. This is another of this mushroom right there, which I'm calling the tiny giant mushroom. The tiny giant mushroom, which that's what this one is and that one. They're tiny but massive comparison to other mushrooms. Then we got the giant sunflower. They are pretty big, and this is one leaf sunflower. They help the trees. I mean, not trees, the bees. And basically, yeah, it encourages the bees. It's like a normal sunflower. The sunflower gets its pollen on the bees. Well, the bees get the nectar. It's a win-win. This tree right there, that's relative to palm trees, and it likes growing in I would say like more open areas. Not a lot of creatures can eat these because they are kind of hard to chew and kind of toxic, but not too toxic. And this is another species of mushroom that I made, but this one, it uses scent to lure in bees and other speculative bee insects to the mushroom, and then, eat them, digest them. But there's not a lot of them. There's like only 1,000 in on this planet, so that's why as a little demonstration, little bee is on it. The next page shows these worms that I made, and I made a little diagram of their evolution. And it shows their close relatives and whatnot. One worm that, stayed basically the same, but a little bit different, is the spiky-haired caterpillar worm, which is this one, this big long one I'm calling. These guys evolved their hair to be spiky, like a porcupine or a hedgehog, but not, they can't, they're permanently on the worm, though. And they are basically like giant worms. They feed on carrion, and, dead things. And these species are both male and female. And, yeah. They can probably grow up to 20 feet long, maybe 35 feet long, if, lived a long life. And the next worm that is closely relative is this one, which, this one evolved something that most worms wouldn't evolve naturally. Since their being a worm is, expanse, this worm species evolved to take a different route. Still being an underground burrower, they have evolved to have their segments to be more like an insects. Like, their outside is more of an exoskeleton. And their little teeth, they evolved from small hairs, or if worms have little teeth in the mouths, I don't know. But if that's not true, then these teeth came from little hairs, or they just came there naturally. Though I don't think that's possible. But anyway, they evolved an exoskeleton, and they can move their mouths by very strong muscles. They also evolved some spiky hairs, not for defense, but more for, like, digging in the ground. Also, this worm right here, spiky-haired caterpillar worm, gets its name because of the hairs, and it looks like a caterpillar. But it also could be the spiky-haired slugworm, because it produces a lot of slime on the underside. And the top side is actually kind of armored, like an insect body, an exoskeleton. This worm, has 3 mouth parts, 1 at the bottom and 2 at the top, making it a 3-way triangle mouth. And they're also common. They eat carrion and small worms and little insects. And maybe the occasional small pig, like small ones. The next one will be this one. We're going to branch off this way and follow that line to this one. More similar to a worm, but it digs underground and eats other worms. It's a worm eater. and it uses its hairs to detect where other worms could be. They also evolved primitive teeth. Yeah. And they have also evolved a lot of hair on like the front end right there to dig more effectively. Same thing with the backside right there. And as we go back, we're going to do this one. To this species that has evolved legs and sensory organs to smell where predators and prey are at. They have also evolved a more bug body plan. They're both male and female, and they have the hairs that are on the antennae right here evolved for smelling and whatnot. They have also evolved complex muscles to help chew food. And they use this proboscis-like thing to help reproduce and whatnot. And since they're both male and female, they both have two parts. That long thing helps find this hole that has the eggs, unfertilized eggs, and fertilizes them. And yeah. And yeah, the hairs on the body, they're for defense and whatnot. And if we go back, we can go to this guy, this behemoth, which I'm calling the filter-feeding worms. They evolved similar sensory organs, but unlike them, they use it to smell in the water instead of on land. They've evolved their mouths to be more capable of filter feeding plankton or algae, and they also have gills. And since they're relative to these guys, their equipment is more different, more for the water. They are both still male and female. And their legs, legs, I would say, turn to more flipper-like, not really being used. And their back legs right here have become more of a side-to-side swimming motion. But another one that it's relative to is this guy, which both are male and female, but these guys are different. They evolved their exoskeleton to be more... They evolved their exoskeleton to be fused on the inside instead of the outside. Could be possible this guy would be like the pack-hunting predators, but I would think over time they would be, gone. They would be non-existent because of the... Which are these guys, which I also kind of updated. And this guy would evolve a subspecies that has become fully aquatic, not needing the land. But this guy, though, it would eat the worms, and so would that guy. The biggest that these filter-feeding worms would get, though, would be 50 feet long, probably weighing, 1 ton, maybe? Could definitely get big, though. But yeah, I would think these predator worms, though, they would be, decreasing. But I would think they would have an advantage, since they have gills. And the last worm species will be going at the beginning again to these worms. They go on the trees, and they also evolved like spiky arms. And this is like one that goes completely on like the trees and eats the fungi that are there. And they are both male and female, same with that one. And they use this feathery organ on their back. They rub on the other worm, and the eggs would be fertilized, and it would be under the skin of these worms. And once they hatch, the baby worms would get a meal and come out into the world. I would also think that similar thing would happen to this worm, and potentially this worm, where their eggs are stored in their little areas, and the babies will eat through, but then evolving to be filter feeders. This guy, yeah, similar story. Alright, that's kind of it for right now. How did y'all like that little video? I will be sending a link to the the other channel that inspired me to do this. Alright, have a great day, great week, great weekend, and for all those people that have school still, you only got a couple more days, and then you got the break. Anyway, subscribe, of course. All the YouTubers are saying that. I won't say it that much, though. Do take care, and have a great day. Yeah. Be inspired. What?